Welcome to qnawire.
Okay, so we need to figure out basically what the splitting pattern for the protons in these molecules are. And there's a double bond here. Okay, so there's proton C, there's proton B, and a pair of protons here, right? Then we need to figure out what the splitting pattern is. So we really just need to do, especially because they tell us we can make the approximation that all coupling constants are equal, is count the number of neighbors, which we will refer to as n, and use the n plus 1 rule. So let's just dig right in. You'll see what I mean. So if we look at protons A, how many neighbors does it have? That is, we look at the carbon we're at, we go to all adjacent carbons, and we count the number of hydrogens that are attached to that carbon. So there is one carbon, one proton, which is neighboring HA. So HA has one neighbor. So N is 1, so we get 1 plus 1 equals 2, which we represent as a D for doublet, right? So we're going to get 2 lines exhibited by hydrogen A. Okay, now let's look at hydrogen B and find out how many neighbors hydrogen B has. So when we look at the carbon it's attached to, look at the neighboring carbons, and I see that it has 3 neighboring protons, so N is 3, and we say 3 plus 1, right, equals 4. So 4 signals. We would call that a quartet. Okay, finally we look at C, and C, there's one carbon here, it's attached to this carbon and this carbon. In terms of protons, there's nothing on the first one, but there is one here, so it has 1 neighbor. So N equals 1 for C, so 1 plus 1 equals 2. 2 signals, or another doublet. Okay, now let's look at this next molecule. And once again, we've got C, and we've got hydrogens on B, and there is a hydrogen on A. And it's not drawn in, but there are hydrogens here and here. It's a little confusing. They don't want to know anything about these hydrogens, but they are there. So let's start with C. Does it have any neighboring carbons with hydrogens attached? No, there's no hydrogens there. Okay, so C should be 0 plus 1 signal. Right? Okay, let's move on to B. How many neighbors does B have? If we say this is the carbon, so go to the neighbor, there's a carbon with 1 hydrogen, that's 1 neighbor. On this side, there's nothing, so we get 1 plus 1 equals 2, a doublet. So 2 signals for carbon A. What about A? Okay, so how many neighbors do we have at A? This is the carbon we're starting at. Neighboring carbon, there's 3 over there. Neighboring carbon, another 3 over there, so we're up to 6, and neighboring carbon has 2 on it. So now we're up to 8. So N is 8, so we say 8 plus 1 equals 9. 9 signals, or a nonet.